Revelation chapter 13 tells us about the mark of the beast, that people will not be allowed to buy and sell except they receive the mark of the beast. The Lord gave me a revelation and explained to me what the mark in the forehead means and what the mark in the right hand also means. He gave me details about what the mark of the beast looks like. Please watch the video to the end. It is going to bless your life. And also share it with other people. If you have not subscribed, please follow us, subscribe. I am Brother Hosanna David. Welcome to Eagle Eye Opener Global Outreach. On the 1st of February 2026, this is a revelation the Lord gave to me. Before I read the revelation, I want us to read Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 to 18. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. And no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 666. On the 1st of February 2026, this is a message the Lord gave to me. The mark of the beast is like a dress that a man wears, which covers his whole body. It is a holistic system, but it has not been assembled yet. The forehead, that means what the Revelation 13 says, that the mark on the forehead. The forehead represents facial recognition, while the right hand, that means the mark on the right hand, represents palm and fingerprint scanning. Biometric identification system is not the mark of the beast, but it is a part of the holistic system. The danger is not in the current use of biometric identification system, but it is in adopting the beast system when it is revealed. I reveal this now because I want my children to be watchful. Paper money shall go away, but not in its entirety. People shall be flogged like slaves and deprived of their possessions, except they accept the mark of the beast. It shall be fast, giving the mark of the beast, and it shall not be through a prolonged ritual. This means that the process of giving the mark of the beast shall be a very quick, very fast system. It shall be amidst doubts, for many shall argue if it is just mere technology or lies spread about this new thing. That means when it is revealed, a lot of people shall receive it while still doubting in their hearts, while some will say it is nothing, they are just spreading lies about this new thing. But I tell you the truth, many people shall love it before it arrives. The world has already been prepared to welcome the beast system. Then the Lord said to me, count a few years from now. You shall see systems that look like the beast system. Then all of a sudden, all the different systems shall merge into a single technology, which is what all the different systems were made for. The mark of the beast is not what many expect. It shall not be a physical mark of identification. It is already in use, but it exists as separate systems. But at the fullness of time, all the pieces shall come together as one single system. The beast is a system. Its field is technology. It shall work with social media. There, that means on social media, there, Information shall be harvested to feed it. The harvest is currently ongoing. There are other multiple platforms that feed it also. It is limitless. That means the feeding of the beast system is ongoing, and it is fueled by social media. And not just social media alone, but there are other platforms that fueled it, and that the failing of it is limitless. It is limitless. It is collecting information, collecting data, collecting all sort of things. It is being fed right now, and the feeding is limitless. Today, I tell you that the system is already among you, children of men. You toy with some of its fragments. The day it is assembled, it shall look terrifying. The time is coming when some people shall say, "We invented this system. We built this system, but we never knew it would be used for this," and they shall regret their contribution. Some of you are already fertilized for its system. That means a lot of people are fertilized already for the beast system, even though it has not been assembled together. Then when I heard this, that some of you are already fertilized for its system, I asked the Lord, what does it mean? He told me that he doesn't want to explain, but he told me this. He said, beware of any technology that merges humans with smart machines and the internet. As soon as he said, beware of any technology that merges humans with smart machines and the internet, I heard someone say it, real time. And he said, this is the danger. Beware of this. This is a message the Lord gave to me. I don't want to explain too much. Please be wise. Know that the scriptures are coming to pass. Almost 2,000 years ago, this prophecy was given, the book of Revelation, and it's coming to pass before our very eyes. We can see the pace at which technology is flying, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence. Daniel chapter 12 verse 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Knowledge has increased already. There is this outburst of knowledge. Now, artificial intelligence can assemble everything together within splits of seconds and give you answers. It can process data. The Lord gave me a revelation some time ago about artificial intelligence, AI, and the mark of the beast. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Please let us be watchful and let us know that Jesus Christ is coming back again. It's not going to be too long. It's not going to be long. It's coming back again. We are in the end times already. The rapture can happen at any time. Let us be watchful. Please share this video with someone and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any question, kindly drop it in the comment section. I am Brother Hosanna David. God bless you. Remain rapture worthy. Shalom.